Yo, bro, isn't raining season supposed to end like 2 weeks ago? I don't know, man. Climate change is weird. Well, my internet has been shit for like 2 weeks now. Hey, man, don't ask me. Find someone else to blame, like the government or Jesus Christ himself. Huh? It's sarcasm. Mushroom soup pie. Or in my country's Pizza Hut, they call this Zuppa soup. Basically, it's a creamy mushroom soup with a couple of other things in it, but mainly mushrooms. These are pretty much the main ingredients. So let's get chopping. Here with half a small onion or a quarter of a large onion. Just mince them to small little pieces. I'm sure y'all know how to cut onions, right? Just use a sharp knife, otherwise you'll start crying. Next vegetable is carrot. Like one small one or half a big one. And just peel the skins, they don't taste good. It's very bitter. Oh, and cut the tops off too. Right, let's start mincing them. Cut the carrots crosswise. Then I'm gonna cut them lengthways and... I almost cut myself there. Yeah, it's hard to cut round objects. So to avoid getting cut like that, try sawing the top back and forth and just chop the front, then the back. Or you could use a food processor, but you won't get that bite from the carrots. Plus, I'm lazy to wash a food processor. So if you're gonna mince carrots with a knife, follow as I do. Grab the halved carrots and divide it by 4 lengthways. And just slice it up and there, minced carrots, easy. Next are the mushrooms. Here I'm using like half of a 250-gram box of button mushrooms, like 7 pieces. No need to wash it if they look clean enough. You could use other mushrooms like portobello or king oyster or whatever you like. And slice them thick because they do shrink a lot. Now this thing makes the soup a whole lot better. Dried shiitake mushrooms. This thing makes huge flavor. Use like 2 or 3, I think 4 was too much for me. And just pour some hot water and let it sit until it looks soft and not dry. I think I should have done this before anything else. Just let it sit for like 15 minutes or so. Oh, and keep the liquid, by the way. We need that. If you don't see sand or anything else in the water, you don't have to strain it like I do. There's none in mine, I'm just testing anyways. So this'll be our mushroom stock. You can substitute it with any stock like veggie or beef or even plain water. For the dried mushrooms itself, just slice them. Though I recommend to slice them a little bit thinner because, you know, I wouldn't want too much of the chewy texture of the dried mushrooms. Okay, the mushrooms aren't soft enough, so I had to put it back to the water. Okay, let's start cooking now. I'm using a non-stick saucepan, but you can use anything that has high sides. You could use a frying pan if the sides are tall enough. We're gonna cook the vegetables first. So pour some vegetable oil and just put in your carrots and onions. Cook it at low heat and stir it frequently. Cook them till it's translucent and almost brown, like this. Oh, and you can use frozen vegetables like carrots or corn. So if you're in a pinch or you're lazy at chopping vegetables, you can use the frozen pre-chopped vegetables. Though I wouldn't recommend like peas or beans. What the fuck? Alright, next you can put the mushrooms in. Oh, and mushrooms absorb a lot of oil. So add some more oil if the pan looks too dry. But don't add too much though, you'll see why. After the mushrooms look pretty soft and the carrots look kind of brown gray-ish, set it aside and put it to a bowl or something. Okay, now let's start making the soup. Start with like 1 tablespoon of butter or margarine, let that melt a bit, and throw in 2 tablespoons of flour. Okay, I did use 1 tablespoon here, but it was not enough for me. Just stir the butter and flour until it smells nice, then gradually pour some milk in. The milk's drying up, more milk, in. Stir with a spatula, let it dissolve for a bit, more milk, in. Stir and let it dissolve again, and when it doesn't look clumpy anymore, just put the rest of the milk in. I think I used a total of 2 cups, 400 mils. I don't know. I didn't measure these things. Oh, and you might ask, why milk? Well, traditionally people would use cream, like heavy cream or something. But because cream expires easily and it's expensive, that's why I use milk. And don't put too much milk because we still have our mushroom stock from earlier. Earlier. God damn, English is hard. Anyways, just season accordingly. You can just add your basic seasonings like salt and pepper, but here I'm using some other things. For my herbs, I'm using oregano. You could try other things like thyme or tarragon. Oh, and here I'm using this thing called mushroom MSG, just to add some sweet umami. You could also just use a pinch of sugar just to boost the sweetness. Or not. Oh, and I did tell you guys to not put too much oil when cooking the vegetables. Cause you see that floating oil in the top? Yeah, it's definitely not ideal, but it doesn't bother me. But yeah, don't add too much oil, otherwise they'll just float more on the top. So this is the consistency of our soup right now. So if you overshot the mark with the amount of milk and the soup is not thick enough, Just mix in a little cornstarch and water and pour it to the soup. But do remember that this is a soup and not a pie, so no need to be too thick. Now we can start preheating the oven, or from the start. Now if you're using these small ovens like I am here, use top and bottom heat, convection if you have that setting. My temperature is about 200 degrees, but my oven is pretty weak. So if your oven's powerful, set the temperature a little lower. Okay, let's start portioning. You can use any vessel which is safe to go in the oven, like this ceramic bowl, or this aluminum one, or even thick glass. But me, I'm using these thick ceramic mugs. Just fill them up until it's almost full. Don't fill it all the way up. Leave a little bit of distance between the pastry and the soup. Yeah, I think I put too much cornstarch, that's why the soup looks disgustingly thick. Kinda looks like pudding. Ew. Anyways, beat up 1 egg for egg wash for later. And for pastry, I'm using the store-bought one, cause making puff pastry is not worth my effort for now. Anyways, the size for this one is 10 by 10 centimeters, so that fits perfectly in my mug. Just make sure that the size of the pastry is wider than the vessel. Okay, let's put it on the cup. Now do this step right before you want to put it in the oven, cause if you let the pastry sit for too long, the pastry won't puff up and it'll be soggy as well. And stab the top with a fork or something to let air escape. Oh, and by the way, you can make these soups ahead of time as well. If you're gonna keep it on the fridge, just portion each and every one of them, put it in the fridge, and put the pastry on right before you bake. And if you're gonna freeze this, just freeze the soup along with the pastry. Pull it out and bake it in a slightly lower temperature. But I'm gonna bake it right now. Now just brush the egg from the middle to the sides. Don't put too much though, just enough to cover the whole thing. Oh, and another reason to not let the pastry melt, cause it'll create kind of like a hollow dome where the egg just pools in the middle. Yeah, not a good thing because it'll brown unevenly. Alright, now let's put it in the oven. Position the rack on the middle, and also put a tray in the bottom, in case the soup drips out or something. Okay, in second thought, the mugs were too tall, so I had to put it in the bottom rack. With mugs, it's easier to slide it in the oven. Now just close that oven and wait. Okay, it's been 10 minutes, let's check it out. Huh, it's sinking. Yeah, whatever, let's just wait. Okay, let's check it again, and oh, it's puffing up. Oh, okay. I guess that stab with the fork on the top really did help. And after about waiting for 20 minutes, the top also looks golden brown. Take it out the oven and let it rest. Hey, looks good, doesn't it? Man, I can't wait to eat this. Now, to actually eat this thing, just go in with your spoon and dig the soup out. Try shuffling the mushrooms as best as you can, and get some of the pastry too. Now, I didn't blend the mushrooms with the soup, like your Campbell's cream of mushroom soup or something. I just wanted to make the soup easy. Man, I gotta finish eating this. So yeah, have fun making this, and enjoy the rest of your rainy days.